These are the actors that circled the role of Wolverine before Hugh Jackman was cast. Let's head back to 2000's X-Men. Director Bryan Singer originally wanted Russell Crowe to play Wolverine, but Crowe said that when he was shown the artwork and depictions of Wolverine, he simply couldn't see any resemblance between him and the Marvel character. He did, however, think that the character looked a little bit like a friend of his, an up-and-coming actor at the time named Hugh Jackman. Unfortunately, at this point, Jackman wasn't too well known, with screen credits at the time amounting to some television roles and 2 small Aussie indie films. And so Singer decided to move on to other actors. Viggo Mortensen was brought in and was shown storyboards. As Mortensen explained on the Happy Sad Confused podcast in 2021, he attended the meeting with his son, a comic book fan, and his son wasn't too happy with how they were depicting Wolverine at this point in pre-production. Mortensen, who was also reluctant to sign a multi-film deal at the time, decided to walk away. The actor did add that he thinks Hugh Jackman aced the role, saying, "I think he did great. I'm sure no one could imagine anyone doing it better than he did anyway." And so Singer moved on to Doug Ray Scott, who agreed and signed a multi-film deal. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. At the time, Scott was filming the John Woo-directed Mission Impossible 2, playing the villain opposite Tom Cruise. Production on MI2 saw various delays, which placed Scott in quite the predicament. Reports over the years have claimed that Scott couldn't accept the role of Wolverine due to the scheduling conflicts and injuries he suffered on the set of MI2, but Scott himself puts the blame on Tom Cruise. In an interview with The Telegraph in March 2020, Scott had the following to say: "That one was out of my control. Tom Cruise didn't let me do it. We were doing Mission Impossible and he was like, 'You've got to stay and finish the film.' And I said I will, but I'll go and do that as well. For whatever reason, he said I couldn't. He was a very powerful guy. Other people were doing everything to make it work." Scott certainly doesn't hold anything against Jackman, saying, "I love what Hugh did with the Wolverine character. He's a lovely guy." Jackman has since also talked about picking up the role after Scott's departure, saying that he even apologized to him. In an October 2017 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Jackman said the following: "I met Scott early on and I said to him, 'Man, I am sorry.' And he said, 'It's just business, but you have just gotten one of the greatest roles out there, so go crush it.' I just remember being so impressed by that and his class, and hopefully I am a big enough guy that when someone else takes over, I will do exactly what was done to me, and I feel glad to just be a part of the legacy of that character." And so, with Scott unable to join X-Men, the studio, Fox, and director Singer were left with a last-minute decision to make. Filming on X-Men had already been underway for around 3 weeks, while fingers were being kept crossed that Scott would be able to leave MI2 and make it on time. When it became clear that Scott was out, Jackman's name came back up. Kevin Feige, who was a producer's assistant on the set of X-Men, told Entertainment Weekly in a July 2024 interview, Lauren Schuler Donner, Feige's producer boss at the time, was very excited about this Australian guy who had been rejected initially. In my memory, one of the reasons was that he was too tall. Wolverine in the comics is called a little fireplug sometimes. He's a short guy, but they were desperate. FYI, Jackman is 6'3", aka around 190 centimeters. The last-minute offer was made, and Jackman suddenly found himself in the role that would change his world. From getting the call to standing in front of the camera, well, that happened very quickly. As an October 1999 Variety report reads, when the announcement was made, in the whirlwind casting change, Jackman's deal was finalized late last week, so he could be fitted for his claws over the weekend. He will begin rehearsals and action choreography today. And the rest, as they say, is history.